And again, we always love for folks to have their cameras on, but it is not a requirement. Not a requirement. And are we good? Yes. So, what can I share with you about Laurie? There's a number of things. First off, Laurie Cousins has been guiding individuals, families, and communities for over 15 years as a mindfulness teacher, integrative somatic practitioner, and trauma-informed advisor through class series, programs, retreats, and trainings across the country. As a certified mindfulness facilitator and mindful self-compassion teacher, she is passionate about helping people heal by cultivating an inner ally and leading with a wise heart. Mentored by Susan Kaiser Greenland, Laurie shares mindfulness with youth, educators, and families and teaches mindful parenting in Los Angeles schools. Rooted in a trauma-sensitive and holistic approach, her work is inspired by contemplative wisdom traditions, somatics, motherhood, and the natural world. And without further ado, I give you Laurie Cousins.
Thank you, Deshawn. Hi, everyone. So glad to be here. It was such a pleasure to meet you, Deshawn, in person. And we just kind of had this moment. We were walking down, or you were walking up, and I was walking down. I'm like, oh, I need to say hi. And then turns out we're working together today. I'm really grateful to be here. I really honor being able to be in Sangha and community and guiding a practice to help us be present and meet the moment. And, obviously, Deshawn gave you a little bit of my background. I'm here in Los Angeles. I was just up at the retreat with my dear friend, colleague, Heidi Bourne. We did the Sacred Path of Connection, Belonging, and Love. And it was a women's based retreat. And Kathy was there, who I see, and I don't recognize anyone else's names at the moment. But just really grateful to have practice, especially in these tender, tumultuous times. And that this is a wisdom tradition. And I teach it more. I'm a spiritual practitioner, but I really study a lot of different contemplative traditions. And so with mindfulness, I really teach it from I would say, more secular based, and but I incorporate all of it because I do love the neuroscience. I love understanding. It's part of my education and training, but also coming back into the essence of who we are. And when things are tumultuous and a lot happening right now, this is a tradition, this is a wisdom tradition, a practice that can help us navigate, investigate, and integrate. So we can navigate what's happening, not get lost and kind of thrashed around into the story that catastrophizes or ruminates. We have this incredible frontal lobe that is a storyteller. But what kind of stories are being told, right? And this is the more present we are, the more choice we have. And then we can redirect that narrative in a way that's helpful, useful, wise, rooted in a sense of groundedness versus being in the fight or flight stress response of our very fast nervous system, especially with the brain stem. It's faster than conscious thought. So, how this practice can help us navigate is that we can become present with what is, and we can use these tools and guidance as a way to help us move more, maybe supported through whatever is here, and that we can cultivate this wise attention. We can have a certain amount of clarity. We can find a steadiness, maybe even that place, the eye of the storm that exists within all of us. But when we're over identified with our mind and lost in thought, it's really hard or can be very challenging to see clearly and to feel what else is true, right? That there, along with sorrow, along with challenge, there's joy and beauty. So here, when we're navigating and we get to contemplate, We get to feel what's here. We get to meet it with wisdom. And then we get to integrate again the wholeness of who we are, right? Who we are as far as that. In mindfulness, we talk about this innate goodness. And when we're lost in an overactive or underactive nervous system, it can be challenging to tap into that. So we're going to go into a meditation. I'm going to guide you into a practice. You can do this lying down. You can do this standing. You can do this with your eyes open, your eyes closed. I think many of us are seated. So that's a deep practice of finding your seat, right? Just noticing being in the posture that's going to support your practice of being present. So finding that posture, finding those touch points with your posture, meaning notice where you're making contact with the surface. It can be really helpful to feel the surface below us. So if you have your feet touching the surface, or maybe the back of your legs, maybe your sit bones, just sensing into where you feel contact. This orienting can help us to to redirect our presence to be more grounded and embodied. Because we know with mindfulness, this is an embodied awareness. Sometimes it can be guided in a way that is very mind-centric. We live in a mind-centric culture. And I want to invite that there's so much more than the mind, right? It's part of our relationship to ourselves. But just sensing down into this body. And some of us might be experiencing physical pain, discomfort, unpleasantness. Can we observe that with compassion or friendliness? Just inviting the awareness that it's here, whatever is here, that there can be a wide enough internal landscape to allow it, just for the moment, and the next moment, and the next moment. And so as we're steadying into this practice, I just want to invite, for those that feel open to do this, you're welcome to just invite some more cultivation of your breath. So a breathing practice can be really helpful in our meditation. And this can just be one conscious full breath. This can be a series of breathing. I notice for me that, my background, I have, prone to dysregulation and challenging times. So finding my breath and being intentional with my breathing can be really helpful to steadying this body enough to where I can start to quiet the mind, or at least meet the mind with wherever it is. So if you'd like, just noticing your inhale through your nose, your exhale through your nose. Just this gentle awareness of the inhale and the exhale. And now if you'd like, just taking a deeper, fuller inhale, filling up that whole body, and then allowing the exhale. This can be through your mouth or nose. Again, this deeper, rich, full inhale. And imagining on the exhale a softening, a letting go. And then one last time, a deep inhale through the nose. Perhaps when you're getting to the top, just holding it if that's available to you. And then imagining a deep letting go. This surrendering into this moment. And by surrender, I don't mean giving up, defeat. I mean a softening, a letting being, and really focusing on the allowance of what's here. So as we become aware of our breath, just noticing this natural rhythm of a rotation that's on the inhale and then on the exhale. Can be really helpful to give our mind something to focus on. So this can be the breath, this can be listening to sounds, this can be feeling a felt sense of touch. So just noticing where your hands are, where your legs are. There's a wonderful teacher, Sharon Shelton. She's a mindfulness teacher and executive coach. And I'm doing Tara Brach's Choosing to Love practitioner program this year. I love Tara Brach. She's been a profound teacher in my life. And Sharon Shelton had led a meditation recently, and I really loved what she talked about. She says, the mind's habit with interfering with the moment. Just noticing the mind's habit to interfere with the moment. Something feels uncomfortable or uncertain, and almost immediately we move to fix it, to solve it, to control it, to explain it. And she goes on to say, and it moves so quick, that impulse that we usually don't even see is happening until after the fact. So, what is beautiful about this practice is to train the mind, the body, to slow down enough to notice those moments. We can feel what happens in the body before the mind sends us off to the races. So as we're slowing down, the body is always in the present moment, but our mind might be very fast in the future and the past. So we come back to the presence of here. And the more that we return to here, this can allow an awareness that is spacious. And when we have this spaciousness, we can choose with more clarity and respond versus react. So I'm going to give us time to practice in silence. And just noticing the habit of interfering is not a problem to solve, to fix, but just to note and be here. So we can practice as many times as we need to by just experiencing that first inhale, receiving that first sound, or noticing the sense of touch of where our hands or legs are resting. So just giving yourself time to notice the nature of the mind, allowing it to be waves that you can surf and not get lost in by returning to the present moment. And now we'll practice in silence. Gently noticing where your attention is, meeting this moment, inviting a soft yes. This is a beautiful poem by Donna Faulds. I breathe in all that is, awareness expanding to take everything in, as if my heart beats the world into being. From the unnamed vastness beneath the mind, I breathe my way into wholeness and healing. Inhalation, exhalation. Each breath a yes and a letting go, a journey and a coming home. Just inviting that soft yes as you meet the moment and continue to be in your practice of being present. For the last part of our practice, I just want to invite the loving awareness, the kindness, the friendliness. This can be so helpful for our nervous systems and to create this sense of belonging and safety. So it isn't just for us, but turning towards ourselves with kindness is something that we can replenish within ourselves to share with others as well. So I'm going to offer these loving kindness phrases in the I form and then share it in the plural. So the singular and the plural, but just noticing what it feels like to hear these phrases. May they be invitations to open your heart, to create a sense of warmth and kindness, especially when we can be in a reactive state or contracted. This can be where we can create more of a defended heart. So just these wishes of wishes from the heart to be received. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and live with ease. May I recognize my sense of connection and belonging. May I be free of fear and live with ease. Just noticing what it feels like to invite these words, these phrases, again. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I recognize my sense of connection and belonging. May I be free from fear and live with ease. And if there's an interference of the habit of the mind to overthink, to edit, just noting that with curiosity, bringing kindness, and then offering this to all beings, to the world, especially those that are suffering, that are marginalized, that are not given the care, kindness, and empowerment that is naturally theirs, ours. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we recognize our sense of connection and belonging. May we be free of fear and live with ease. These wishes from the heart, these invitations for all beings to recognize this interconnectedness, recognize the habit of causing harm, knowingly or unknowingly, and the wish for the alleviation of suffering. And coming back to this place of awareness with warmth, with friendliness and kindness for the last about minute of this meditation. Letting everything else go and just being here moment to moment. So transitioning out of your practice, but not the cultivation of presence. If your eyes are closed and you can gently blink them open. You're feeling your body right here in this moment, just noticing what's alive for you. I bow to all of you in this practice, this time of a courageous heart, of being able to sit with what's here, to meet it in the moment. And so I'm going to offer just a couple of minutes of different things that I just want to invite if people would like to talk about it, or but just noting, is there something that you were aware of in your practice that was interfering, that habit of editing, that editorial, the habit of our going to our to-do list, going to a particular sensation in the body that became more sticky, in the way that maybe it's an unpleasant state. But how did you meet it? How did you work with recognizing what was here? The habits that really, if we look at our habit of our minds and the way that they try to protect us, right? Wanting to be in control, wanting to know and predict what's going to happen is so wired in us. So it's not a problem to solve, but can it be something that we can be curious about and recognize it? Because the more the awareness we have, the more choice we have. So this is a quote by Ram Dass that I just find invaluable, as far as part of that interference can be the limiting beliefs, the limiting thoughts, especially maybe with ourselves, and inviting this unconditional love, this unconditioned, that we can define ourselves by meeting certain conditions, by being a certain way. Am I a good meditator? Am I a bad meditator? Am I, just all the stuff that we can get into. So this is unconditional love really exists in each of us. It is part of our deep inner being. It is not so much an active emotion as a state of being. It's not, I love you for this or that reason. Not, I love you if you love me. It's love for no reason. Love without an object. So love being a way of being. So when we look at the way that our mind can stay busy in thought, in that doing, it's the non-doing. This is where we practice and sit that actually creates the spaciousness for us to be with what is. And then when we invite and infuse this sense of love, this sense of it's not this or that, or you're a good enough meditator, then you experience peace, right? It's actually unconditionally available to us in this moment. But how do we train our attention to meet the moment and to recognize when we're lost in our habits? So I just love to put it out there. Any thoughts, comments? It could be, how does the habit of interference show up in your practice, in your life? How does maybe this constant narrative interrupt a sense of peace and well-being and connection? And just recognizing, what would it be like if I could love this too, right? If I could bring in this unconditional love that says, this too, I'm going to allow the interruption without the judgment, without the condition to say I'm doing it right or wrong. So yeah, just putting it out there to the group if anyone wants to. You can put it in the chat box, anything, or you can raise your hand. have it on gallery. Yes, the to-do list definitely showed up, right? Absolutely. And that can take such precedence. Oh, but I got to do this. I got to, and that's the interference of, no, actually, just got to be here, right here. Kathy, yes.
I just, I find it helpful to remind myself that the mind, that's its job is to think, and that there's nothing wrong when I do, and just coming back to the present, and just not giving myself a hard time about it. And that's just been something I've been working on for a while, but it's been really helpful, especially as we practice more during retreat. It's which I was just in. It's really helpful, and also just just begin again. The that reminder that it's okay to just begin again. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing that it's in its nature to think, right? So just like our lungs, the nature to breathe. So if I say don't breathe, that's going against our nature, right? So if we're going like don't think, it's going against the nature. It's more how can we create this loving spaciousness, this awareness to say this too. Yes, I'm observing thinking. Thinking is happening. Thinking is happening, right? This is part of my experience of what's here. And then when we can settle, with the deeper sits and working with our attention, then maybe we notice less of that habit, or that we welcome it and that it's not an interruption. It's actually part of our process and our experience. Thank you, Kathy. Um, so some of the comments. So worrying about my dad who has COVID. Oh, I'm so sorry, Beth. Sending healing and good thoughts for your heart as well as for your father's health. And this is where how do we hold with the unknown, right? The unknown, the vulnerability. If we hold it with fear, we get a tightness, right? And we can get those racy thoughts. But if we hold it with this love, this loving awareness or friendliness, maybe we can be more skillful with how we're directing our energy towards the situation, towards our father, our family, right? I know for me, I can go to such a place of worry, and then I want to get all the worst case scenarios out of the way for like to be prepared, or to try to figure out what's the best way, as opposed to how about if I soften into this moment and send love. I'm sure you're doing what you can. And then in between, how do I soften in this moment and hold this with love? Yeah, thank you, Beth. Mm. Um, so Isra says thoughts arose about interactions with others, the nature of those relationships, then back to my breath and body. That's it, right? That's exactly the practice. Of course, the thoughts are going to arise. It's not a problem to solve. We're going to notice that. And this is where, in the tradition of Vipassana or insight meditation, when we can stay with it and be with it, then we can notice some insights, some wisdom to say, oh my gosh, I'm seeing my part in that. Or, oh, am I coming from a place of expectation? Or, oh, I'm realizing this isn't sitting well with me. Or, wow, I have profound love for this person. Can I just be with that? Yeah. I think it's Dahlia. If I'm mispronouncing your name, apologies. my brow tense up when I go into logistics brain, right? Which I often do. So when I become aware of that, I try to relax it, which helps me return to mindfulness. Hello, Dahlia. Hi. So good to see you. Yes, you're on retreat too. We have a couple of participants. How beautiful. So, yeah, just even that invitation to work with the physical, right? The physical sensation. So, there's a tightening, and then you're conscious of the tightening. I mean, how many of us are thinking or we're scrunching or we're not even aware? And then you're sensing into that and inviting a softness, right? And this is that mind body connection. We can work with the thoughts that are impacting the body. We can work with the body's somatic experience that are impacting our thoughts. Yay. Thank you for coming on camera. Good to see you. Any last thoughts before we close? Any things that want to be named or called in to this space that we've created this time? I'm noticing I'm in the valley and it is very hot. So my office, I did not adjust the air. So I'm like, okay, I'm sensing perspiration. And it's not so unpleasant, but it's going to be in a little bit if I don't get that air going. So any last thoughts? If not, I'm just going to read. We have something here, a little. Feeling immense gratitude for the meditation teaching and AC for this lovely Sangha. Exactly, right? So much gratitude for the simple things, right? And maybe we can just take in this relational mindfulness and recognizing that we are in a Sangha together. We are in community, that we're not isolated with whatever is happening right now. Whatever we are holding, whatever we are going through, whatever our loved ones or friends or different experiences, that we're in this in a community. So just sensing in that people from all over are connecting right now in this moment with the intention to come from a loving awareness, a curiosity, a willingness to be with what is, to turn towards our experience so we can cultivate wisdom and kindness, which can help us be less reactive, which can help us to see things clearly. So that right now, all of us together in this moment can feel or sense in or open our attention to a sense of belonging and connectedness. We are not alone in walking this journey. One of the things that I shared with the beautiful women that came on our retreat last week was the concept of a lone wolf. It's very mythologized as being, I can do it on my own. I don't need anyone else, all that kind of stuff. And actually, a lone wolf is a very vulnerable wolf in the sense of survival. It's actually very threatening. The only reason why a wolf would be alone is because it's seeking a pack, right? And so recognizing this pack, this sense we're social beings, we're meant to be connected. And we can disagree and we can, recognize the differences for sure. But in what areas of our life are we turning towards where there is this sense of belonging and connection? So that we can feel this pack, this community right here, right now. That our nervous system can feel that we can walk through life on life's terms together. So I wish you all peace and ease. I'm going to turn it over to Deshawn. Thank you all so much for your time together. Thank you.